Good morning, everyone. My name is Daphne Adler, and I'm one of the counselors here at Los Altos. And I am really happy to welcome you this morning to our Study in Mainland Europe session, which is part of our very excellent International University Month webinar series in October. So this morning, we're going to be talking about schools on the mainland part of Europe, which is very, very broad. So this is going to be a really short overview, and I really encourage you to reach out to our reps who are here with us this morning for further information. They're here to help you, and they're really excited to get to know you guys. So thanks to the students for getting up early, and thank you so much to all of our university reps who you're going to meet in just a second. And I'm going to turn it over right now to Jen Boucher from American University of Paris.
Great, thank you, Daphne. And just to echo once more, welcome to our presentation on studying in mainland Europe. So there's lots of great benefits, both personally and professionally, that we're looking forward to sharing with you today. So first, let's introduce our presenters. So my name is Jen Boucher, and I am the Assistant Director of Admissions with the American University of Paris, but I'm actually based in Southern California. So I'm in your same time zone if you ever have any questions.
And hi, everybody. My name is Alana Lennon. I am an international admissions counselor at the American University of Rome. I am also an alumna from the university, so I am more than happy to speak with you about my personal experience as a student. If you have any questions, please feel free to send me an email after this presentation, and my email is right there. Thanks.
Okay, while we wait for Ango, I will kind of introduce myself as well. My name is Maaike Trobman. I'm also an alum from IE University, which is located in Spain. And I'm located in California as well, in Los Angeles. So I'm super excited to speak with you all, and I'm happy to also talk about my experience. But I look forward to talking with everyone.
Hi, everyone. My name is Katrin, and I represent Modul University Vienna in Austria. I'm also a graduate of the university, and I'm currently doing my MBA there. So I'll be more than happy to share my experience with you. So please feel free to reach out to me after the presentation.
Moin Moin, guten Abend. My name is Ango Mwakisu, and I'm the Recruitment and Admissions Coordinator at the Jacobs University in Bremen, Germany. I am currently based in Germany, so I'm coming to you all the way from Northern Germany. Thank you very much for joining us. Back to you, Jen.
Great, thank you all for joining this morning, this afternoon, wherever you happen to be in the world. So if we can go into the next slide, please, the agenda. So this is what we will be discussing today. So why Europe and how the education differs in the US versus Europe. And then each country is actually going to present on their employment regulations, the cost of living, some fun facts, and then some information about the universities that we represent in particular. Then we'll have a Q&A at the end to answer all of your questions. So feel free to write any questions you may have in the chat box. So first, why Europe? So you'd be surprised that many universities that are in Europe are actually less expensive than those that are located in the US, even as low as like the Cal State prices at times. So along with that, though, a lot of the European universities have that 3-year model instead of the 4-year model. So even if the university was per year a bit more expensive than in the US, you could graduate in 3 years instead of 4 years and still save some money that way. Although there are some programs in Europe that are 4 years long versus 3 years, and there's always exceptions here and there. But keep in mind that you want to look at the entire cost of attendance for all the years you're there, not just for 1 year that you're there. For languages too, employers greatly value when you speak multiple languages. And I've heard it also delays Alzheimer's by 6 years as well. So there's also personal and professional benefits to learning new languages. So when you're studying abroad, you'll be able to learn a brand new language, but also learning it in the culture that speaks the language. So it's not only about the direct translation, it's also about when to say what, or maybe the personal versus like the the professional. So there's a lot of different, I would say, cultural norms and values to learn, along with learning a new language in general. And what better place to do that than living in the country that speaks that language. Along with that, there's major studies. So you'll find that many schools in Europe focus on the major in particular. So especially for those 3-year programs, you jump right into the major and you spend the whole 3 years truly immersed in that major. Of course, there are some examples where there's more liberal arts education here and there, but generally speaking, a lot of European schools will focus solely on the major. Now for types of living, in the US, we're used to hearing about the dorm with the RA and the meal plan. Some schools might have that option in Europe, but what you'll find a lot of is like more the independent style of living, where they live in apartments or maybe even homestays. Sometimes there's resident halls with students from all different universities, not just your university. So the type of housing would vary, but typically you're truly immersed in the culture where you're not living, quote, like on campus. You might be living like in the general like city area. Also with the degree and the accreditation. So you always want to check to make sure that these degrees are fully accredited and would transfer back to the US should you choose to move home to the US. But you not only want to check if the university is accredited, but also the program that you're interested in studying. And lastly, for the admissions process. So generally speaking, a lot of schools in the US have that holistic review, and in Europe, they focus more on the test scores and the grades, but you'll find a mix of both options in both countries. But you'll find that a lot of those traditional international schools in Europe will focus a lot on your grades and test scores, whereas generally speaking in the US, it could be a lot of the essays, letters of rec, your activities list. So just make sure that you ask your admissions counselor exactly what they're looking for in the application so you can address it that way.
Thanks, Jen. And now we're going to continue a little bit, and I'll talk to you about the European higher education space. And in this sphere, we're going to be talking about, the length of degrees, which Jen alluded to a little bit earlier in the presentation, as well as, how degrees in Europe are arranged and what transfer options you have, as well as degrees and accreditations. Next slide, please. So all universities in Europe, in the EU, are governed by what we call the Bologna process, which is a series of ministerial meetings that kind of came together to unify the education in Europe. The Bologna process actually, and in the EU, is the world's highest larger education area in terms of concentration of universities, okay? And the process ensures that there's a standardization of degrees and degree cycles that students have the option to take. So, if a student is studying in Germany, they will seamlessly be able to transfer or do an exchange program at another university in Spain or in Italy or in Belgium or in Portugal. So that's what the Bologna process ensures. We do this through a process called the transferable credits. It's ECTS, which is the European Credit Transfer System. And these are credits that students obtain while going to university at a European institution, and they're usually transferable to all institutions worldwide. So in terms of accreditation, if a university is accredited through the Bologna process within the country, then you will be able to transfer those credits if you would like to return to the US or go elsewhere in the world for your graduate studies, or if you want to continue your education with a master's or a PhD degree. There's also, through this process, we encourage mobility. So through the Erasmus program, for example, which is part of this whole higher education sphere area, it really encourages students to move between universities in terms of exchange programs, which gives you the option to also explore a little bit of Europe by spending a semester at another institution which is located in the European Union. In terms of the length of degrees that you can see here on the right-hand side, in terms of the undergraduate degrees, so either a Bachelor of Arts or a Bachelor of Science, these usually tend to last 3 years or 4 years in Europe. So it'll vary from university to university. Please check with the university that you're interested in to see, the length of the programs. When you go beyond that, so on the graduate side, a master's program in Europe usually lasts 1 year or 2 years, depending on where you are. And then if you want to continue down that path, you can take a PhD program, a doctoral program, which is 3 to 4 years in Europe. So that's kind of how the education is structured. What we're going to be doing now is going into our Euro trip, and we're going to start with the individual presentations, and we are going to go to beautiful France for our first university. Jen, take it away.
Great, thank you, Ango. So yeah, France is a beautiful country, one of the capitals of art and fashion, tons of historical monuments. So looking forward to telling you about it. So first, let's talk about fun facts about France. So the Eiffel Tower is the most visited paid tourist attraction in the world. So in a typical year, we do have a lot of tourists coming all over France. Also, the number of kisses given when greeting someone in France varies by what part of the country you're from. So you'll find that in northern France, they may kiss like on the left cheek and then the right cheek, but the more south you go, the more kisses you may receive. So it could be left, right, left, or it's very, very affectionate country. Along with that, Hospital Hôtel Dieu is the oldest worldwide hospital still operating on the Seine River. So it was actually founded in 651 AD, and it's still going strong. But along with that, French people eat the most cheese per capita at 57 pounds per person per year. So huge cheese country. These are the average costs that you'll see. So again, give or take based on what part of France you live in, since the cities are more expensive than the small rural towns, of course, but you're thinking about spending maybe $600 per month. So $800 for rent, $350 for food, $380 for books and leisure, so on and so forth. But this could vary based on where you live, but also things like, do you eat organic or non-organic, or do you eat out at restaurants or go grocery shopping every day? So take it with a grain of salt, but this is approximately how much you would be spending by living in France. So now employment opportunities. So France is an amazing place to work, as I'm sure you can imagine. It's a beautiful country. So as far as can I work while I study? So for internships, you can work full-time and part-time, and you must be a student in order to intern. For working, for part-time, if you're a non-EU student, you can work about 20 hours per week. If you are EU, I believe you can work about 35 hours per week, which would be full-time. Is a work permit necessary? So for an internship, you would need a valid visa plus the student status, since of course students are, as in you need to be a student in order to intern. But for working, you would need a valid visa and a residency permit, which your university could help you obtain as a student at the university you would attend. How long can I stay after graduation looking for a job? So this really depends on the visa. So what my colleagues at the university I work for recommended are that students would defer their graduation and intern in the meantime in order to stay in France longer, or you would begin applying for jobs during your senior year, so then your work would support your visa instead of the university. So once more, I'm Jen Boucher with AUP. AUP was founded in 1962 by Americans living in Paris, so we are an American degree located abroad. We have over 1,000 students from 100 countries, so we are quite diverse, all different backgrounds, beliefs, nationalities, ethnicities. 15 is the average class size, and 9:1 is a student to professor ratio. But along with our students being diverse, the faculty and staff come from 30 countries, and 70% speak 3 or more languages. We're also an American degree, so all classes are in English. We have offered that 4-year semester system program, and of course, it's an American degree located abroad. But these are all of our majors. So business, politics, communications, arts, and humanities are the general themes. And we are located in the 7th arrondissement of Paris, France. So in that middle section right in between the Eiffel Tower and Hôtel des Invalides, where Napoleon is buried, is where we are located. It's an open urban campus feel. As you can see here, the buildings are very French on the outside, but on the inside, we have more of like that modern classroom feel. So we're surrounded by businesses, cafes, restaurants, hotels, so on and so forth. But one of the most amazing opportunities are that we offer study trips where you travel all over the world with your professor and classmates to experience what you're learning in the classroom in person. So Shakespeare in London, psychology in Cairo, film in the Netherlands, or marketing in Iceland. Along with those, well, we have housing. So housing is very unique compared to most universities, where instead of the dorm with the meal plan, we have independent housing for our students. So our housing office will help find and furnish residences for our students, but we are looking into purchasing a resident hall in the near future. To apply to AUP, you would submit the common application, or you can apply to AUP directly. This includes your essays, letters of rec, transcripts, activities list, and we are test optional, always have been even before COVID-19. Plus our average GPA is 3.2 unweighted. 94% of our students have a job or are in grad school within 1 year of graduation. 80% report an international element to the career, and 50% report that a professor personally helped them on their career path. So we are a smaller university with huge opportunities where we've had students intern and work at places like Chanel or Google, the United Nations. Plus, we have 20,000 alumni in 145 countries all over the world. So if you're looking for a global career, we could be an amazing starting point for you. At the bottom, you'll see my contact information, so feel free to be in touch. We'd love to see you here for 4 years at AUP. So then I will pass it on next. Let's go to Italy.
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Jen. So once again, my name is Alana, and I am an international admissions counselor at the American University of Rome. Welcome to Italy virtually. I'd like to give some fun facts for you guys. So Italy is the second most visited country by US students abroad. And so a lot of students come here to study, especially for the liberal arts, because Italy is a country that has inspired so many poets, writers, free thinkers, and philosophers. It's just a really inspiring place to be. We have 55 UNESCO World Heritage Sites, which is basically a landmark that has some type of historical or cultural significance. So there are so many beautiful places to take day trips to and to learn a lot of history about. We are the capital of art, architecture, fashion, and food. We have really great affordable healthcare for our international students, which is actually one of my favorite facts. And we'll get into the details later into the presentation. And then, of course, a student visa is required in order to study with us, but the American University of Rome assists students throughout that process. Alrighty, so here are some of the average costs. So again, this is on average. It really depends on what city you're in, but this is about the average for Rome. So the monthly total is going to be between 1,000 or 1,200 per month. Housing can be at about 650 per month. It really depends on the housing situation that you put yourself in. So if you were just to rent out 1 bedroom for an apartment, you can decrease that significantly. However, if you want to have your own apartment by yourself, you'll be paying around that price, possibly even a little bit more. A monthly transportation pass in Rome is about $40 per month. And then food and beverage per month is going to be about 150 to 225. As Jen said, with Paris, the range can really broaden. So again, if you're somebody that wants to go out to eat quite a bit, you're going to be paying upwards of about 225. However, if you do enjoy cooking at home a lot, you can even survive with less than $150 per month. Health insurance is about $225 per year, which is really great in respect to at least the United States. So that's one of my favorite facts. And then books and leisure is going to be about $100 per month. Okay, so you can work while you study as a student in Italy. Italy does have pretty strict labor laws, however, so the maximum amount of time that you can work per week is going to be 20 hours. And then you can also have paid and unpaid internships as well. A work permit is not necessary in order to do so as a student. So as long as you can prove that you are in Italy legally, which you would be able to do with your student visa, then you don't have to provide any other documentation. And then it is possible to stay in Italy up to 12 months after graduation to look for a job. Obviously, it's not as easy as just staying there without having to complete paperwork. There's a process to it, but you are able to do so. Okay, so AUR has been around for 51 years. We are a very small liberal arts university, so we offer 10 majors, 25 minors, and we have a very small student body of 500 students. So our student to professor ratio is 1 to 14, and it really allows our students to be able to use their professors as a networking tool throughout their college career and after, because the professors know their students and they understand their strengths and weaknesses, and they're really able to help guide the students throughout their college career, and because they're not just a number to them. Our student body represents about 60 different nationalities, and we have about 28 different native languages spoken on campus amongst the students and the staff, but everything is taught in English because we do grant an American degree and we follow the American system. Okay, so here are the undergraduate degrees that we have to offer. I'll go ahead and read them out just in case some of you aren't able to look at your screens right now. So we have archaeology and classics, art history, business administration, communications, English writing, literature and publishing, film and digital media, fine arts, interdisciplinary studies, international relations and global politics, and travel and tourism management, which is our newest one. And then some other academic opportunities that we have for our students is the opportunity to study abroad. So it can work one of two ways. You can study abroad at a traditional American university located in the United States, or you can study abroad at another university around the world. Okay, so although we have a small student body, we still have a very active student life office. The student life office is in charge of putting on non-academic events for students. So they are in charge of the sports at AUR, they are in charge of the clubs, the events, and any types of field trips. So some events that we have are language exchanges, where Americans can help foreigners with their English, and then Italians can help the American students or any other international students with their Italian. We have movie nights, gelato tasting classes, cooking classes. Oops, sorry, could you go back just one second? And then we also have field trips. Field trips can be day trips, they can be weekend trips, and so on. And then these are some of the organizations and companies that our recent graduates have gone on to work for. And about 89% of our students find a job or pursue a master's degree after graduation. All right. Okay, so here's our cost of attendance. $25,200 is really the base price. It can always go down from there with scholarships. AUR housing is optional. We offer off-campus housing, so it's apartment living. And if a student wants to find their own housing accommodation, then this price for housing can also go down quite significantly. And then estimated living expenses are about $9,830 per year. Again, depending on the lifestyle you live, it can go down significantly. AUR is unable to offer any full-time full-ride scholarships to students, but we say best case scenario, a student's total scholarship amount can cover up to 35% off tuition costs. We have two main scholarships for our student. One is our academics merit scholarship, and the other is our financial needs scholarship. Every single applicant is automatically considered for the merit scholarship upon completion of their application, and the financial need application does require a separate application. And then of course we accept FAFSA as well. All right, so we have a holistic approach to our admissions process. So it's different than the traditional European process. Here are the required documents that a student must submit. You can do that by applying online at the AUR website or through the common application. My favorite part of the admissions process is the admissions interview. So after a student has submitted all of their documents, they have an interview with the admissions counselor. It's nothing to worry about. It's an opportunity for the student to expand on their application, and it's the opportunity for the admissions counselor to get to know the student off paper. And then we are an SAT and ACT optional school, and our degree is recognized in both the US and the EU. And that's all. Thanks, guys.
Alrighty, we are going to take a very short 2.5-hour flight up north to Germany. Okay, so I'm going to start a little bit with some fun facts about Germany. Germans really like their sausages and their bread. I know Jen is probably going to fight me on this, but German bread is the best in the world. Okay, for vegan or vegetarian for out there, we also have plenty of options in that direction. But yeah, these are some of the most popular foods that you're going to get in Germany. We also have very long words in our language. I have listed a few here, and I would let you take a crack at those to pronounce them when you have some time. And I think one last fun fact here is that we love to speed. Our autobahns or our highways, actually 65% of them do not have a speed limit. So you can take out your car and you can basically test your engine out. A little bit about the costs of living and studying in Germany as a student. I've listed a few numbers here. It's very similar to what my colleagues have already presented. What I would like to reiterate is it really depends on which city that you're living in as a student or you're going to university in, and also your personal expenses. So that's something that will determine a lot of these prices here. There are some things that are fixed, like health insurance and public transportation, but most of these other things are variable. I think one thing to note as well for students that are coming from the US, you actually do not require a visa to enter and study in Germany. So that's something that is important to mention, I think. Next slide, please. Okay, in terms of employment regulations and working on the side and after graduating, students are allowed by law to work 20 hours a week, and they get about $9.20 per hour, which is about $10.50. No permit is required for students to be able to work when they're doing student jobs or internships. And students actually get an 18-month job-seeking visa after they graduate from a German university, which is quite neat if students want to stay in Germany or in the EU. Next slide, please. Okay, so we're going to transition a little bit and talk about Jacobs University. So Jacobs University is a private, non-profit, research-oriented university that's home to about 1,500 students from 120 plus different nationalities. We are actually the most international university in Germany. We were founded in cooperation with Rice University in Houston, Texas, back in 2001. So we also won a really young university, only 19 years in, and we have already managed to be one of the top universities in the world in terms of rankings. The next slide here has a few numbers for you. I think one thing that I would like to highlight is the 4 colleges on campus. These colleges are actually dormitories, so we are a fully residential university, something that probably you're used to with universities that are out in the US. Our campus looks very much like that of Rice, a little bit. You can see it behind me. And all our students actually live on campus, all our undergraduate students. Next slide. Okay, so we offer 3-year degrees that you can see here on the slide in 3 different focus areas. So the first one here is mobility, which houses all our engineering and mathematics programs. The second one is health. This houses all our natural sciences and physical science programs. And the last one is diversity, which houses all our social sciences, business, economics, and psychology programs. Again, the programs are 3 years. They are fully equivalent to a 4-year degree that you might get from an American university, and they're worldwide recognized. One thing that a lot of our students also take advantage of is the exchange partnerships that we have. So students can do a study abroad program or go for a research exchange program at any of these partner institutions that you see here. I know you can't really see the names, but just look at the dots. You have a lot of options in terms of study abroad when you're a student at Jacobs. A little bit about student accommodation. I mentioned a little bit earlier that all our students live on campus. On the right here, you can see a typical room. I think something that pops out to you is that you don't share a room with anyone else. You don't have a bunk bed in there or a second room, which is quite unique to the way the setup is at Jacobs. Every student gets their own single room on campus. And so you can make it your home away from home. Next slide. Okay, very quickly through the application process here, we are actually a member of the Common App. That's the only way you can apply to Jacobs as an undergraduate student. The 4 deadlines here on the left, the first one is November 1st is our ED deadline, and then we have Early Action 1, Early Action 2, and rolling admission deadlines. And it takes about 2 to 4 weeks for students to get a decision from the time they submit all their supporting documentation, which I'm going to talk about in the next slide. So things that you will need to submit as an applicant to Jacobs. Most of these things are pretty standard that have been mentioned already. I do, however, want to stress the last 2 things here. So in terms of English proficiency, you don't actually need to submit an English proficiency test if you are a citizen of the US, because we consider you as a native speaker, so we will waive this requirement for you. And for the standardized testing, if you can go 2 slides further, Maaike. Oh yeah, that's the next slide. Sorry, the testing. So for the testing, we still do require the SAT or the ACT as part of the application. We currently cannot waive this. I know there are a lot of schools that went test optional because of the pandemic. We currently cannot waive this requirement. However, we are very flexible with it. So if you're interested in applying to Jacobs and you cannot take the SAT, please get in touch with our admissions office and we'll work with you to be able to see how we can help you with that requirement. And the last slide here from me is fees and financing. Round all in all, room and board plus tuition fees costs about 28,000 euros. That's about 31,000 US with the current exchange rate. However, we have a lot of merit-based scholarships, external funding options, and financing options that can bring that price down significantly. On average, students at Jacobs pay around 12 to 13,000 US, and that's all in. Remember, that's all in with room and board. Yeah. Okay, and then I'll hand over to my colleague in beautiful Austria.
Hi everyone, my name is Katrin and I'm the representative of beautiful Austria. I'm gonna start with some fun facts about Austria that you probably haven't heard of. To begin with, all of the Austrians have been mistaken for an Australian at least once in their life. Also, they think that it's totally normal to eat pancakes for dinner because this is their speciality. Also, Austrians don't know borders. We're in the heart of Europe, so we're just an hour away by plane from Switzerland, Italy, France, or even by train. Also, all of the Austrians, they know how to waltz. I guess you know that the waltz is the oldest of all of the ballroom dances. And yes, it's a Viennese waltz and it was born in Austria. Next slide, please. The official language in Austria is German. However, everyone speaks English, so you won't have any difficulties getting around. Also, Danube is the second longest river in Europe, and it goes through Austria. In addition, our national sport is skiing, so you would not find an Austrian who doesn't ski. We're #1 nation in skiing. We do have 4 different seasons, and we have 8 neighboring countries. So you can imagine what does this mean to live in a country like this. So when it comes to our employment opportunities, you can work while studying, you can work part-time, maximum 20 hours per week. And we do offer paid and unpaid internship up to 40 hours a week. Most of the internships are actually paid. When it comes to work permits necessary, yes. If you're not a student, and of course, if you're a student and if you have your visa and student confirmation, you don't need that. How long can you stay after graduation? To look for a job, you can stay up to 12 months in order to find a job. So why should you choose Austria? First of all, we're in the center of Europe. Also, we're the center of research, center of ecology, and Vienna is the greenest city in the world. Actually, center also of arts and culture. I guess you've heard some of the famous musicians such as Mozart or Johann Strauss. And of course, we are the center of good life. Speaking of Vienna, we are ranked as the city with the best quality of life in the world. Could you please go to the next slide? Thank you. For more than 10 years, it's safe, clean, and green. Also, is the largest student city in the German-speaking countries. Most affordable if you have to compare it, let's say, to London or Amsterdam. And also, it's a cosmopolitan capital in the heart of Europe. And we do have the UN headquarters, and it's an international business hub. So it's an amazing place to live and study. When it comes to Modul University Vienna, we're an international university. Here you can see a picture of our beautiful campus. We are located up on a hill with an amazing view of the entire city. We have 1 to 20 faculty to student ratio, which means to one professor, there are 20 students, 71% international student body. I am also an international student, and it was an amazing experience because everyone was very friendly and welcoming. We do have 8,000 graduates worldwide, 700 partner companies, and 101 countries represented on campus. And last but not least, 31 languages that are offered apart from German. So if you don't speak German, you have the chance to learn it throughout your studies. We offer business-oriented education with entrepreneur focus. So it's a very hands-on experience. We have many student clubs, from tennis club, wine society, hotel club, anything for your preferences. It's very important to know that there is an academic advisor for every student. So if you have any problems, there is someone who can guide you from the beginning of your studies to the end. And we're very proud to say that we're among the top 25 universities in most cited publications in the world for 2018 and 2020. And we have the first startup hub in an Austrian university. So if you have an entrepreneurial mindset, this is the right place for you. You can develop your idea or a product, and then you can pitch in front of investors and get your idea financed. Next slide, please. We do offer 2 types of bachelor degrees, Bachelor of Science and Bachelor of Business Administration. When it comes to Bachelor of Science, you have the chance to choose between international management, international marketing, and entrepreneurship and leadership. All of these programs are 3 years. And you have amazing opportunities for internships. And then we have Bachelor of Business Administration, where we have tourism and event management, hotel management, and hotel management operations. For example, I did my internship in Barcelona at Ritz-Carlton. I did my degree in hotel management. And lastly, when it comes to our career services, we have dedicated career services that are going to help you when it comes to your job application and coaching. Also, as I mentioned, we have international internship opportunities and many different networks all around the world that you can actually take advantage of. 70% of our students already got at least one job offer before their 3rd year. So yes, if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to share my experience with you after the presentation. And now we go to beautiful Spain. Thank you.
Thank you. Hey, everyone. Super excited to talk to you about Spain today. So some just fun facts. Spain has the 3rd largest heritage UNESCO site, so just right after Italy and France. Spain also has the first modern novel, or one of the best books considered worldwide that is translated into more languages than the Bible. Spanish in general is the 2nd most spoken language in the world, with about 406 million people. And something that's really interesting is Spain is the largest producer of olive oil. And the one that I think is the most interesting is it's the 2nd biggest country in the EU, which means it's the 2nd most visited country in the world after France. So some general average costs for just Spain as a country, a lot of them were already kind of echoed earlier through the presentation, but food and beverage, depending on your lifestyle, you could spend between, I don't know, 50 euros per week and maybe max like 250. So if you're going out and eating every day, you might be spending a little bit more money as to somebody who stays at home and cooks. Health insurance is incredibly affordable. It's about 175 average per year, and Spain actually has the largest public healthcare system in the EU. So if you're, need doctors or anything like that, it's super, super easy. They speak English. It's quite amazing. Housing, again, is really going to depend on the city. So in the capital like Madrid, it's going to be a little bit more expensive than something like Segovia, but you're looking about spending 500 to 1,000 per month on rent alone. Books and leisure, depending on the school, you won't be spending too much. We're pretty sustainable in that fact that we provide everything digitally. And then public transportation, you do get student discounts, so you're paying less than $20 per month, and you can use, it's called an abono, as many times as you want for that 30-day period. So you're looking at something roughly between 1,000 and 1,600, again, depending on your lifestyle. So employment opportunities and the regulations for during or after your studies are going to be quite similar in comparison to all the other countries that were spoken about. Again, you don't need a permit if you're on a student visa. You can work about 20 hours per week. They can be paid or unpaid internships depending on what you find and the university. You can actually stay for 12 months after graduation in order to look for a job, which is really nice. And then another thing to add too is if you stay for 5 years, you can then apply for residency, which means you'll no longer need visas. And most internships are actually built into the studies in Spain. So you do have a lot of opportunities to go into that. So again, here's my email address. I did go to IE, super excited to talk to you about it. I'm also from California. I didn't speak any Spanish when I moved there, and it was life-changing. So a little bit about IE. Our pillars are what we're built on. So we have an entrepreneurial mindset. About 8% of our students graduate with their own companies. We do have an incubator or an innovation hub called Area 31, a little bit like Shark Tank. You can elevator pitch your ideas, investors will come and learn, but it's a little bit more than that. We have a lot of mentors and it's a great networking opportunity. We're also built on technology immersion and the cultivation of innovation. So we're always innovating our degrees, adding a lot of work experience, but also adding things like VR learning inside the classroom. The other pillar that we have is we are one of the world's most diverse universities. So we have over 140 nationalities in our student body, over 75, almost 80% of our students are coming from all over the world, and a lens of humanities. We really do care about each other. You are coming at IE to be a global citizen. So I've already kind of mentioned these numbers. We accept over 50 different education systems. So that means if you're coming from Germany or the US or Canada or wherever, whatever high school diploma you're studying, we'll most likely accept it. Again, we have almost 80% of our student body is international, over 45 languages spoken on campus, but everything is taught in English. Rankings, we're ranked #1 in Spain, 5th in Europe. We've got the 3rd best business program worldwide, and we're ranked top 18 in the world. So something that's really unique about IE is you can actually study at 2 different locations in Spain. So we have our first campus in Segovia. It was built in 1218. It's a World UNESCO site, which means it's protected by the United Nations. And if you ever want to work with the UN, you actually get to meet them, work on research projects. Or we have our amazing campus in Madrid, which is actually going to be new and ready. It's called the Tower, fall 2021. So for those seniors that are looking to study at IE, you'll be the first class. It's going to be 32 stories high, super high tech, and the first and only high-rise university in all of Europe. These are going to be our degrees. So we do offer 4-year single degrees. Some of our most popular degrees are going to be, of course, business administration, because we are an entrepreneurial business school at heart, international relations, of course, because of that diversity, and then computer science and artificial intelligence or law. We've got an awesome law track. So if you're looking to be a lawyer, we do a 3-2 program. So you'd study at IE for 3 years and then do your JD at Northwestern and be a very young lawyer in the US. Within 5 years, which is pretty awesome. And then what's unique is we offer dual degrees. So if you have a lot of interests or you want to give yourself more opportunities and flexibility for the future, we do offer 2 degrees that you can graduate with, which means that you'll have 2 diplomas. And that looks pretty good on your resume. So I did mention that we have internships built into our program. So 1st and 2nd year students actually can choose, we call them labs. And depending on your area of interest, if you like marketing or you want to do something legal or you want to do something in innovation, you can do that, add that to your resume. And then your 3rd or 4th year, you can choose to do a paid internship abroad. I did mine in France, or you can do a semester abroad. We have 220 partners worldwide. Accommodation, same thing. We have a little bit of everything. Student residences have meal plans. We've got host families, and then of course renting an apartment, but they call them flats in Europe, and that could be with multiple roommates. So you'll cut down costs on that. Many clubs. So I won't go too detailed into this information just because I do want to leave time. But one thing that I'd like to mention is that we have thousands of partners of different companies that are global that come to our campus. They recruit you before you graduate. You know, 43% of our students do graduate and work in a different country. 20% of them stay in Spain, 25% do a postgraduate. And then admissions process, I'd be happy to talk to you more individually on that because I'm here to help you. We are available on Common App. We have our own application online. It's going to be very similar to what you expect with American universities. In regards to the SAT and ACT, we obviously have always been test optional for that because we have our own admissions test, and I can talk to you a bit more about that. And then of course, a personal interview. So I wanted to leave time for questions, and we're super excited to hear from all of you. We encourage you to ask, you know, no question is too small, and I will hand it over to.
Alrighty, thanks, Maaike. And that actually concludes our little Euro trip. We have really just touched the surface. We do encourage you, as Maaike said, to ask us any questions that you may have. Especially about studying in Europe. You know, I think most of us were students in Europe, have traveled in Europe. You know, we have experience living here. I've lived in Germany for the last 14 years. So it would be great if you guys use the chat window here and just type in your questions, and we'll make sure that we answer those. We have about 10 minutes for questions. So the quicker they come in, the more we can answer. Maaike, can you go to the next slide here? Okay, while you're thinking about those questions, we do have QR codes here. These QR codes will take you, if you scan them with your phone, if you open your camera app and scan these QR codes with your phone, they will take you to a form where you can leave your contact information so that we can contact you. You know, if you're interested in any of our universities, you can just fill in a quick form, and then we will be in touch with you later on after the presentation is over to give you a little bit more information about our individual universities. Yeah, we will leave this slide up here for the next 10-12 minutes while we wait for your questions. And we still haven't gotten any. Don't be shy. We don't bite.
Yeah, guys, this is your opportunity, right? If you have questions, probably someone else has similar questions. So please don't be shy and ask. And this is the source right here. I'm speaking directly with the university reps. So please do ask. This is, you know, a lot of our presentations have been focused on like UK because it tends to be the most popular destination. So this is a bit broader. So there's a whole lot of information here. So please do ask because every country is going to be different, and not to mention, you know, within any country, every school is different. So yeah, please do ask your questions. Anybody? Really, no questions? Okay, in the meantime, I'll talk a little bit about the rest of our series. So today we actually have 2 more workshops as part of International University Month. At 2:30 is a workshop called Thriving Abroad, and it's about kind of like the just practical tips of being abroad, not necessarily about any particular country, but we're going to have reps from a variety of countries just talking about some of the things to think about, like, you know, just kind of like realities of being away from home, wellness, managing your money, things like that. So that's at 2:30 during office hour time. And then tonight in the evening, we have a webinar that is an overview on the UK and Ireland. And parents are welcome to join for that because it's in the evening. And then Jen is visiting us for a regular college rep visit on the 22nd, which is Thursday. So those of you who are interested in American University of Paris can sign yourselves up in Naviance for that. Maaike already was with us earlier in the semester. And I have visited IE and American University of Rome myself in the past couple of years, and both were fantastic. I'd love to get to the other ones as well. So students, you can ask me questions on those too. Really, no questions? Okay, all right then. Going once, going twice. Anybody? Okay, well, I guess we'll wrap up a little early then. So thank you so much to the 5 of you for being here, and especially those of you who are with us from Europe. We really, really appreciate you doing this with us. Students, feel free to reach out to them, and you can ask me questions as well. And we appreciate everyone being here with us, and hope to see you at more sessions of our series later this month. And with that, I'll wish everybody a great Tuesday. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Auf Wiedersehen.
Thank you very
Thanks very
much.
much.
Thank you. Bye.
Au revoir.
Bye.